It's a day and age when we're bombarded with an endless stream of content. Our ability to critically consume this information is so important, and it's worth talking about. So we have David Ryan Polgar here, the tech ethicist, also the digital family expert for Ask FM. And you're here to talk about it. I'm all right. Now, you're giving everybody a new term that you might not be familiar with. It's media literacy. What do you mean by that?
Well, according to cyberwise.org, it's knowing how to critically consume and produce media messages. So that's what we need to do. Again, the focus on critically.
Yes.
Critically consume and produce those media messages.
Because here's the thing. When I was a kid, you read a newspaper, you know everything in there is true. Now, the internet, same thing. Everything on the internet is true.
A lot of people come up to me and they say, David,
do they really?
They tap me on the shoulder and say, get this. And I say, well, where did you find this out? And they say, I read it on the internet. Or Google says, as if there's a Mr. Google, like it's Deepak Chopra, where it's like, there is no Mr. Google.
No.
What we need to do is we need to verify and separate fact from fiction. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find the signal from the noise and separate fact from fiction. Traditional media was a top-down strategy. So you read it in the New York Times, and generally you could trust it. But the problem is, through my phone, through my Facebook news feed, I'm getting information that's coming from somebody with a Pulitzer Prize and somebody who's wearing a tinfoil hat. Okay,
There's never been a wider
it's medium agnostic. There hasn't been. So it's up to us, because the internet in general, social media in general, opens up these opportunities where we can become more intelligent. We have this marketplace of ideas, but the burden is on us to actually critically consume this information, to separate the good from the bad.
Now, it's interesting you bring that up, because let's take the Times, for example. Before they print something, there's usually this journalistic standard that says you need a double confirmation of something like that.
Right.
So we've always been brought up by, if it's in the newspaper, they've done that legwork for us. But now, it seems to me, like we're shifting the onus onto us to do that. So
there is a little bit, yeah.
How do we then know how to get information critically?
Well, again, that's why we have Media Literacy Week, because it's been done 10 years in Canada, and we're finally bringing it, the National Association for Media Literacy Education is bringing it to the United States, right? And we're saying, this is so important that if we just take information at face value, this is a problem for our democracy. So if we can critically consume it and then produce it, that's important. So I know it's voting day, but I'm voting for media literacy education because seriously, it's the fate of our future as a civilization really depends on taking this information and knowing what's important and what's not. It really is crucial.
Yeah, because if we can't decipher it, especially kids who haven't even seen an encyclopedia before.
Right.
If they're just judging their worldview on what they read, there's a lot of room for misinformation there. But then there's the other shoe of the whole situation, and that is the media that we create ourselves.
Yeah. Well, isn't that what's exciting? Because, Seth, you're not the only creator of information.
No.
So that we've democratized this, where we've set it up where anybody sitting at home can create content. That is extremely valuable to our society.
But it's also extremely destabilizing when it comes to honest information and the kinds of things that are discussed.
And that's the thing. So if you're a kid, if you're a teen, if you're an adult, you can create content right now. You create a YouTube video, boom, it's done. But what you want to do is, let's say you're taking a statistic, you're reading an article, you want to verify it. You want to make sure that the article you're citing is not The Onion. Because I love The Onion.
Which has happened.
Oh my God,
I see it on my Facebook feed. Someone publishes shares an article and says, "Oh my, isn't this amazing?" It's blatantly from The Onion, which is a website that tells fake stories.
Because what's happened is a lot of times our brain is on autopilot. You know, we're doing 5 things at once. We're seeing in the news feed. We're liking it. We're sharing it before we've actually read it. So what we need to do is, again, think critically. When you take that information, put everything else aside and say, okay, is this truthful? How can I verify this? If I'm producing from it, I care about my own reputation, but also generally the marketplace of ideas. I don't want to spread fiction, so I want to verify this.
And if you're going to stand on your soapbox and spout some facts and information too, you know, when kids were making book reports in school, cite your sources.
You have to.
Throw a bibliography.
Right, and that's why I said earlier with the definition of media literacy coming from cyberwise.org, right? Because I didn't create this. I am taking it and we're building upon it. And that's actually what's very exciting about social media and the internet in general, is that we often ask, you know, is Google making us stupid? Well, the answer is it depends. It depends on how we're using it. And the optimistic view that I take is if we can do this correctly, if we can incorporate media literacy education in K through 12 and beyond, this is something exciting where the internet can open up opportunities where we become smarter.
It's a great point. The internet isn't necessarily making us smarter or dumber. It's the choices
That's
that
us.
we make.
Right, exactly.
Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, Seth.
Happy Media Literacy
Yes.
Week. I'm going to do a write-in ballot. I'm going to vote for Media Literacy
That's what
Week.
I'm doing.
It'll be the 2 votes for it.
Perfect.
Still ahead.